Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lowdown. On this channel, we talk about finance, we talk about economics, we talk about the very important things that you can do to protect yourself and your family and your wealth moving into these uncertain times. If those topics interest you, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit that bell so you can get updated as soon as I load a new video or whatever. Please, you'd be helping the channel grow a lot and helping the community grow. So I appreciate you. Holy crap. Oh, holy crap. Are you serious, Bitcoin? Bitcoin ain't playing. If you were insightful enough, if you were forward thinking enough to buy into the hype and buy Bitcoin oh shit. When it was over here, I can't even go that far with my hand. I'm just getting used to the technology. But anyways, if you had the insightfulness to buy Bitcoin early, congratulations to you. You're probably popping champagne and floating in a pool somewhere. I don't know. But let me tell you this. This is unsustainable. That whatever goes up like that, you guys all know this. That's way too dramatic. There's going to be a drop. So I love Bitcoin. My wife and I are vested in Bitcoin, but I would encourage you to be taking a little bit of profit off of the top, maybe keeping what you had originally invested in Bitcoin, and that way you're not losing all that much when the correction comes, and it will come. Nothing swings like that, and is absent of correction. So please do that. Please take a little profit off the top. I love Bitcoin. Like I said, I'm not beating it up, but the last two market downturns, including the most recent one in March of 2020, Bitcoin fell with the market. So these people that are, talking out their mouth that it's a store of wealth, I wish it was. Bitcoin is this. It's a speculative asset. That's what Bitcoin is. Don't let anyone convince you that it's anything else. It's a speculative asset. We don't know anything about it yet as far as its ability to retain your wealth. It hasn't been proven. What do we got going this week? What's really going on? I'm going to get right into the content. I know last time we did viewer comments and stuff like that, but there wasn't that many viewer comments. So sad face, and I'll just move right into what we got going. So I've got a couple of updates for you. Here's the first one. We've got a $1.9 trillion stimulus coming on top of all the other trillions that have already been spent trying to save this economy and creating no jobs. Bernie Sanders is still on the National Budget Committee, so that's good, right? Like, certainly somebody with a sense of austerity. Would you say that defines Bernie Sanders? Listen, our government is out of control, and the answer is never more government. Government is the problem. Great people, and I'm going to try to stay apolitical on this channel, but great people like Ronald Reagan understood that. Government isn't the solution, government is the problem. When government gets out of the way, capitalism thrives. But all we're looking at now is massive amounts of government intervention. And they're going about it all wrong. So they're just giving money to people, stimulus checks. People that are just sitting at home doing nothing. They're not producing. They're not providing a service, but they are still getting money in their pockets. Well, what happens when you do that? When you give people money who neither produce anything or provide a service in the market, you are now putting more demand on product and services, because people who have contributed nothing to that process now have money to spend out of nowhere on those same goods and services that you and I are trying to purchase. So what happens? Prices go up on all goods and services. That's what's coming. Massive inflation. Guys, so let's talk about the melt up, right? Because melt ups always happen before a major correction. And it's happened throughout history, time after time. But we're being fed all this BS, like it's going to be fine. Everything's great. Don't worry. There's no correction coming. Really? Because every time in history we have melt ups like this, there's a major correction. Even in the stock market. 1929 is a great example. They were encouraging everybody not only to invest in the stock market, but guess what? Use negative debt, leverage. Get yourself a loan and invest some money in the stock market. Everything's going to be fine. It can't go down. It's only going up. This would be something that would be worthy of you guys checking out on your own. If you have time, after this video, check this out. It's a great documentary on the 1929 stock market crash. It describes the euphoria on the melt up. It describes how middle class families were encouraged to take out loans and invest in the stock market because it can only go up. I recently came upon a book that is it's basically like a diary, ton of diaries, all blended together, and they're diaries from the Great Depression. It's called The Great Depression, a diary. And this is just a quick excerpt from that. Basically what it says is, the magazines and newspapers are all full of articles telling people to buy stocks and real estate and other assets at runaway prices. Update. So that was in 1929, the first century. Here's an update, 1931. Many of the people that took the advice of these newspapers are now bankrupt and lost 80% of their money. It's just another example of how this always happens, this euphoria that everybody's just making money and we can only go to the moon. Guys, that's just not reality. This market is hyperinflated, but it's a huge bubble, but it's not just the stock market, right? It's the tech stocks. It's real estate. Hell, even motorhomes, RVs, toys, motorcycles, anything you can think of right now is in a huge bubble. It's going to correct itself. Like there's so many similarities between what happened just prior to the collapse of 1929 and where we're at right now, including all of the optimism. It's unbelievable, the optimism out there. You're being sold a bill of goods. Everything's not going to be okay. But how do we protect ourselves? I've had several of you like, okay, can you just get to the meat and potatoes, please? Like, where are you going to tell us to put our money? What's going on? I'm not going to tell you to put your money anywhere, primarily because I'm not a financial advisor. And what precedes this is not financial advice. But I will say this. These are three of the key things that I'm doing to protect myself and my family's wealth in these uncertain times. You may want to emulate them. You may watch this video and go, you know what? You're a stupid YouTube guy, and I would not listen to you if it was the last voice in the world. That's fine. But I think that you might position yourself well if you emulated what I'm about to do or what I've already done. And when I say what I've already done, one of the first things my wife and I did when we realized this is going to be big, the global health crisis that we're facing is going to affect our economy in ways that we've never seen before. Like, this is going to change our reality. And our reality, not just in going to the grocery store and seeing a bunch of people with masks on, um, because that's stunning in and of itself. It's like, wow, this is the reality. It feels like, and I know a lot of you feel this too. Like, you go to the grocery store, you go to Costco or wherever you're shopping, you're like looking around as you got a mask on too, but you're like, this seems like it's an alternate reality. It's like, it doesn't even seem real. We as human beings have faced bigger threats. Human beings have been battling viruses since humankind, um, the existence of humankind, since our birth, we have faced viruses. And guess what? We always win. In the end, we always win, and we're going to win again. But our economy may not, especially when you got these hooligans running the economy. I want to make one thing clear. All of you need to understand this. And I'm sure most of you do, because I have a smart audience. I believe that. Like, you don't keep watching this crap. You don't keep listening to me spew unless you have a fairly high IQ. I believe that. Every single cent of government spending is a future tax. People don't understand that. They're like, oh, yeah, we need stimulus. We need trillions and trillions of dollars. All you're doing, those are all future taxes. That's what you're doing. Like, yes, taxation, that's what we need. No, taxation is not what you need. What you need is discipline. What you need is, even if you lost your job in this economy, you need to be self-reliant. The government is not going to save you. And eventually they will leave you high and dry. They've done it every time throughout our history. So let me get back to a place of comfort, because right now I'm feeling like maybe that wasn't the most comfortable place to be. Oh, was I looking the right way? I was. I never know. I'm getting used to it. Sorry. Um, the first thing we did is we paid down our negative debt. This is not a time for you to be taking on a bunch of loans. So there's good debt and there's bad debt. Let me give you a few examples of what good debt might be. Good debt produces passive income. Good debt would be like a rental property where, yes, you owe on that property, but every month there's a certain amount of profit that comes off the top, okay? Good debt might be something like a small business loan. And an entrepreneur taking out a loan to start a business. That's another example of good debt. What is bad debt? Bad debt would be, hey, I make $50,000 a year, but I'm going to go buy a $60,000 truck, with the big wheels so I can impress people I don't know, right? And I'm going to take out an 8-year loan on that. Because that's where we're at. That's what they're doing. It's not about the price of the truck. It's about the payment, right? Much like homes. You see homes right now, we're like, well, yeah, homes are so overpriced. And then you hear these people in your ear talking about, yeah, but it's not really the price of the home. It's the payment. Can you afford the payment? Ah, I've got a home for you. People are being suckered in to all of this bad debt. You guys, you got to stay away from the bad debt. It's not just car loans. You want to talk about consolidation loans. Terrible. Get rid of your bad debt. Focus on your bad debt. And you can do a debt snowball. I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey, although I do think that he's misguided in a lot of ways. I do love having a debt-free mentality, especially moving into these uncertain times. However, some of the things that he says are just a little too far out there. He can come across as pompous and arrogant, in my opinion. I want humility from somebody talking to me. I don't want your arrogance. Like, don't talk down to me. Just tell me what I need to do. And a lot of times I find that Dave Ramsey is talking down to me, but that's my own perception. And maybe I'm completely wrong. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong or I'm right in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. But where he goes astray is he thinks that you should just cut up every single credit card that you have in your wallet. He's wrong. You should be using one credit card at least and making one purchase on it per month and building your credit going into these uncertain times. You're going to need good credit. That's something my wife is much better at than I am, but I'm learning with her guidance. And isn't that what all men do? We learn with our wives' guidance, right? Anyways, getting back on topic, I want to talk about how these different outside sources pressure us to get involved right before a crash. Because that's what was happening right before the Great Depression. You can't lose. Leverage your debt. Take out a loan and invest in the stock market because it can only go up. That's what's happening right now. It's happening here. I'm so bad at that. And it's also happening in our market. I'll give you an example. Hold on one second. So this is a good example here. Let's see what this guy's saying. Top JP Morgan banker tells clients, forget about bubbles and just buy everything. Is that real? Is that a real article? It really is. That's what investors are being told. But not just investors, because investors is a very broad term, right? And when I think of investors, I think of like, oh, those are people with a lot of money. No. They're speaking to everyday blue collar working people and encouraging them to get into the markets heavy. It's a terrible idea right now. Every sign on the wall says there's going to be a correction. Okay? But don't just take my word for it. Let's see who else has something to say about it. This is my boy here, Jim Rogers. The commodities king, if you know Jim Rogers. He's incredibly smart, but, and by the way, not that I encourage anybody to invest in the stock market, but if you're going to, commodities are up against a 12-year resistance line. It's time for commodities to burst. And I think that just might happen as this economy collapses, right? Look at copper, your essentials, corn. Corn is going crazy right now. Anyways, the commodities king, Jim Rogers, what does he say? The next one has to be worse than 2008. Legendary investor Jim Rogers says you shouldn't trust the stock market rally and warns of a scenario where everything collapses for a while. Well, I hear what he's saying, but how bad is it going to collapse? What does he say? How far do you think the dip could go to the bottom of this crash? Here's his reply. I can tell you in history, bear markets go down 50, 60, 70%. This is just history. This is not an opinion. And many stocks go down 80 to 90%. But people don't believe it until it actually happens. Like, there's no sign of this except for if you're listening to the right people and if you're awake and aware of what's really going on. Like, all of the government printing is the only thing keeping these markets alive. I'll tell you when our economy is going to collapse. I'll tell you exactly when they're going to collapse. You ready for it? Here it comes. As soon as the Fed cuts off the spigot. As soon as they turn off that money spigot and say no more, guess what? The whole thing collapses, guys. Let's go back to what my wife and I are doing to prepare for the oncoming economic collapse. Like I said, this is not financial advice, but I'm old school. I'm an old school guy. I want tangible assets. I want something I can hold in my hand when the power's out and there's no food at the grocery store and things of that nature come up. I want something that I can actually give somebody of value and they can recognize that value right away and give me something in return. And that answer is silver and gold. That's all there is to it. So, my wife and I have been investing in actual silver and gold that you can hold in your hand, tangible assets. Okay? Now, one of the problems with silver and gold is you can't store it, right? So you don't want to buy a bunch of silver and gold and store it at your house. That'd be stupid. But one of the great things about silver and gold is you can spread it throughout. I've got 4 different locations throughout the city where I can gain access to my silver and gold quickly. But why would I need access to my silver and gold quickly? Well, when there's no good place for me to get the things that I need for my family, like food, water, the essentials to life, I'm going to need a store of value. I'm going to need silver or gold, but most of the time silver in situations like this. Listen, you may be asking yourself, what's he talking about? Like a situation like what? When the grocery stores don't have anything on the shelves, when you don't have any power, guys, these are the scenarios that are coming. Our supply chains have already demonstrated their vulnerability, have they not? Huh? I can remember not only like struggling to find toilet paper, which now we own one of these, what is it called here? It's not, I want to say squatty potty. It's not a squatty potty. What it does is it squirts water at your butthole and it saves you from using toilet paper. It's really kind of cool. And now I don't have to worry about the stupid toilet paper shortages, right? You got to get used to it though, because there's a certain angle. If you're at the wrong angle, it'll squirt you in the wrong place. You're like, woo! Anyways, yeah, a bidet. I'm sorry. Thank you for chiming in there. So it wasn't just toilet paper. I remember meat products at a certain point during this health crisis not being available. Huh? You guys remember that as well? Look, I'm not saying that we're all going to be faced with the same thing, but how good is the infrastructure? How good is the power grid in your town, your city? Is it possible that something like this could happen? Huh? There's Houston. Hello, Houston. We have a problem. Holy crap. And as we watched this nightmare unfold this week, and there were deaths. I don't mean to make light of it. I mean, dang, we're going to trust our local officials. We're going to trust our city, our state, our federal officials. Obviously, they're unprepared for the unforeseen. What this channel is all about is self-reliance. It's about you being prepared for the unforeseen. So, number 1, get rid of that negative debt, right? Number 2, let's buy some real tangible assets, something we can hold in our hand, something like silver. And actually, you can buy your silver from wherever you want. I certainly don't advertise for anybody. But right now, just so you know, no matter where you go, Due to unprecedented demand, we are currently experiencing shipping delays of 10 plus business days. Guess what? It's probably going to be a month before you get your 1 silver ounce. Okay. And they're right around, depending on how you pay, they're right around $40. So I really think it's important to recognize self-resilience. And that's where I'm going on this channel. You need to be buying water. You guys should have a store of water. You should have a store of food. These unprecedented times, and I hate that word, but really, these crazy times, you need to be prepared. You got a wife, you got a kid, you got elderly parents. This isn't going away. This isn't going away anytime soon. I don't want to be a downer. I want to be an upper, right? Because nobody likes a downer. No one likes that one guy at the party that shows up and everybody's like, "Oh, damn, he made it." I don't want to be that dude. I want to see opportunity where there is disaster, and we can do that because there's going to be a ton of opportunity if you play your cards right now, and that means preparing for the unforeseen. Okay, so get rid of that debt. Buy tangible assets, something you can hold, no one can take away from you. A market crash can't. Gold and silver, the value of gold and silver, a 1 troy ounce of silver will never be zero. It will always have value. Why can I say that so confidently? Because 5,000 years of history has taught us that. Okay? Bitcoin has 10 years of history, 11, whatever. However you want to calculate. You're going to tell me that's a store of wealth. I'm talking about 5,000 years of history. It will never be worth zero. And the third thing is stock up on food and water. You're going to need it. That's what this channel is going to be about. I love you guys. I've rambled on so much, and I apologize for that because I'm pretty good at rambling. But in closing, I'd like to give you the lowdown. Here's the lowdown. I caught this virus in December. I spent 2 weeks on my back. And I hate that my video might be flagged now because I use that word. So I'm going to say health crisis. Okay. I was a victim of this health crisis back in December. I spent 2 weeks on my back fighting a fever. And after 2 weeks on my back, I relented. I couldn't breathe. I had to go to the hospital, and remdesivir and antibiotics and steroids brought me back to a state where I could actually get out of the hospital. So I'm not saying that this health crisis isn't real. It certainly is. I experienced it myself. What I am saying is our government's reaction to this health crisis by shutting everything down, by basically closing our economy, the ramifications from that are going to be much more severe than a week in the hospital. The ramifications of shutting down our economy are going to be far greater long term than any health crisis could be. And it's about to prove itself because this is all going to come down like a house of cards. And I love you guys. And hey, have a great week, right? Like, how do you be positive after that? Listen, there's still reason to see sunlight. There will be sunlight for those people that take the warning. And I love you guys. And the majority of you are all friends and family. So I really appreciate you listening this long. You probably didn't. You just set the phone down while you're taking a po-po. And I hope you have a, what's that? Duvet? What is that? Oh, it's a duvet. Yeah. I hope you got a duvet. We'll see you guys next week.